it's absolutely appropriate to ask these questions
Yeah.
at Prime Minister's questions. It's one of the biggest national scandal, and it's absolutely the place of the leader of opposition to present issues like these to the Prime Minister. But I thought that was the attempt to score points
Yep.
was gross. Even when Starmer, the question about why isn't a judge-led inquiry, Starmer gave certainly a considered answer. I don't know enough around judge-led inquiries to kind of evaluate it so quickly, but he gave a reasoned answer, and he made the point it was Baroness Lee Casey's decision. That was immediately shouted down. It's a discussion like that should be constructive and not point scoring. Even then at the end, like Starmer was doing it himself, was trying to be like, we listen, they do this, they voted against it. This knocks me a bit sick, to be honest.
Yeah, that didn't feel like it was about ensuring that this inquiry led to justice for survivors.
No.
It felt like it was about, as you said, political point scoring. And I mean, I think we heard a Labour MP say that Kemi Badenoch's questions were disgraceful. And I think maybe should we dig into a bit of the context about what they were talking about?
Yeah. So 4 survivors of the grooming gangs suffered abuse have quit in protest because they are concerned that the inquiry will not address cultural and racial context.
There's a couple other concerns as well. They were a bit concerned about the scope of the inquiry. So they were concerned that it would look beyond grooming gangs and into child sexual abuse and exploitation a bit wider. They were also concerned slightly by the potential chairs, because they're looking at currently a police officer or until she resigned from the panel or until she resigned from the inquiry, a social worker. But some of the survivors feel like it shouldn't be led by the people in the services that they felt failed them.
Because they would have a vested interest. So 4 people have resigned and have some criticised Jess Phillips, the Minister for Safeguarding's behaviour. And there's been some contention over what they're saying is true.
Yeah.
That's what the heart of it is.
We heard Kemi Badenoch accuse the Labour government of calling these girls liars. And I think what she was referring to there was that Jess Phillips came out. I think she was actually on a Home Office Affairs Selects Committee, and said it was misinformation and untrue that they were going to expand the scope of this inquiry beyond grooming gangs. So I assume that's what the liar allegation was about. We did also see Keir Starmer there echo what Shabana Mahmood wrote in the Times and GB News overnight, which was, she wrote, "The inquiry will explicitly examine the ethnicity and religion of the offenders because we must acknowledge who they were. The inquiry is not and will never be watered down on my watch. Its scope will not change." And that's what we saw Keir Starmer say in reply to Kemi Badenoch there.
It's perfectly legitimate for these victims to have concerns about this. I think that's totally fair enough. If this will be, you've experienced the worst thing in the world and you are concerned about how that will be investigated, a total sympathy for that. The government or the relevant ministers saying, no, it's going to be what you want it to be. That's what she said. And Kemi Badenoch has attempted to turn it into something that it is not. Has attempted to win a political point by attacking like quite an easy target. I think Jess Phillips gets attacked by Conservatives quite often, and trying to ramp up the temperature. And I think maybe the language Jess Phillips used is unfortunate by saying it is misinformation, because misinformation is quite a loaded term. We shouldn't say they were lying. We shouldn't call them liars. That's like what the allegation was. And Shabana Mahmood did the exact same thing, or trying to almost like calm the fears. And the problem is, the inquiry doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
And that's the context, is they don't have a chair. This would be a much more appropriate discussion to have if the inquiry fails.
Yep.
You're making political hay about something that doesn't yet exist. It's like it can be all things to all people. It would be just as inappropriate for a Labour MP to stand up and say, does the Prime Minister agree that the national inquiry is absolutely perfect? It's a non-entity that they're trying to, about such a serious, emotive, scandalous subject. that they are just trying to make political hay over.
Calling freelancers, small and mid-sized business owners. Tide's Instant Saver account offers up to 4% AER variable, flexible access and competitive returns.
Unlike other options on the market, you won't need to hold your money with Tide for a fixed period. That means you'll have instant access and free withdrawals whenever you need it.
You can get started today with just £1, making it easy to start growing your business savings.
Want to know what you'll earn? Tide's clever calculator gives you a clear picture up front.
Our audience will receive £100 cash back when you deposit £5,000 within the first 30 days of opening your Tide Instant Saver account.
Use code JOE, that's J-O-E, JOE. New members receive an annual equivalent rate of up to 4% AER variable, free for 6 months. For the full offer, visit tide.co/Joe. T's and C's apply.
Exactly. And as you said, it would have been totally fair and legitimate for Kemi Badenoch to bring forward these concerns and say, you know, can you assure us that the scope won't go beyond grooming gangs, and for, you know, the Labour government to come back and say, yes, we can assure that it will just focus on grooming gangs, but to turn it into like a political football, point scoring, finger blaming, well, you voted against this, you voted against that. And also for the Conservatives to try and take some sort of moral high ground on this. Like, we are the party of protecting women and girls and Labour are not, which is what Kemi Badenoch was trying to frame it as. Whereas I actually think both parties have had quite significant failings when it comes to women and girls. I mean, we saw the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse, which took place under the last Conservative government. That inquiry did have a wide-ranging scope, but loads of the recommendations were just not implemented, which I think Kemi Badenoch brought up there, that Labour were initially against this, having a statutory inquiry into just grooming gangs. Whether that's right or wrong, one of their arguments was, well, we haven't actually even implemented the recommendations from the last independent inquiry. So are we just going to keep having inquiries and never actually implement any of the recommendations that come from them? Yeah.
You made the point when we were watching it that Kemi Badenoch was the Minister for Women and Equalities and didn't mention grooming gangs in Parliament until Elon Musk started tweeting about it.
Yeah.
Which shows how much, like, and it's just completely disingenuous to paint yourself as this kind of crusader for justice when she's evidently not. Like, and as it's completely fair enough to talk about this, obviously, but to present yourself as like the arbiter of justice and these women's dedicated champion when you're just not is bollocks.
Yeah, I think it is. This wasn't an issue in Parliament, or wasn't being mentioned in Parliament until, like, we saw Elon Musk started bringing it up on Twitter at the beginning of the year, and that's when it became essentially a way for the Conservatives to pick up this issue as a political football, rather than with any sort of real, it feels like a real sense of justice for these girls. It just felt like, well, this is really big on Twitter. This is a way of point scoring.
It's inauthentic. It's absolutely inauthentic.
Yeah, especially when you had Chris Philip there behind, like shaking his head. He was the Justice Secretary, wasn't he?
He sucks. He's just like a pantomime villain.
Yeah.
He just looks like, I don't know. He's got a dickhead face. I can say that. I don't work here anymore.
Political insight.
Yeah, absolutely. And also being like, I knew you called us all far right, by the way. That's so, like, that isn't the issue at that. Like, I swear someone demanded that they get apologized to. Do you remember that? I swear someone in the Tory party at Parents Questions was like about the grooming. Like, we need an apology.
Like they're the victims.
Oh, like it just knocks me. It's so frustrating to watch, and I guess that is. I'm not surprised. I'm sure it would have happened the other way around. It's just so unconstructive.
Yeah, I mean, is for the Conservatives tearing this inquiry apart that
they're eliminating confidence in it already.
Exactly. Like, how is it getting justice to tear apart this inquiry rather than to have, these are the concerns, can you address these concerns? Can you assure the survivors that they are being listened to on this, and working together with Labour to ensure that this inquiry does deliver justice, rather than what we just saw at Prime Minister's Questions, which was to rip it to shreds and ensure that there's no confidence in it whatsoever.
There was quite an unpleasant line Kemi Badenoch said about, Starmer said that Jess Phillips is the biggest expert on these issues in this house, and that she said, well, she's not big an expert as
The survivors.
as the survivors, as if
Or so, one up.
Yeah, as if you have to like, I don't know. It's just such a gross comparison to suggest you have to suffer that to have been any way appropriate for you to work on those issues. I know I found it quite an unpleasant thing to say. The whole thing was, I can't really say more about it than just it was gross and unpleasant, and I don't know, but it's not surprising because that's just Kemi Badenoch's approach to Prime Minister's questions, is bandwagoning and picking up, just being quite unpleasant at it.
I think so too, but I have a feeling like, and I wonder if you agree, Conservatives might think this was 3 for 3 good Kemi questions, because people are viewing her. I think it was 2 weeks ago she had Peter Mandelson questions. Last week, which she brought up again during that inquiry, during that questioning. But so 2 weeks ago it was Peter Mandelson. Last week it was the Chinese spy and security, and this week it's this line of questioning over the Grooming Gangs Inquiry. And I think that Conservatives might think that those are the 3 strongest performances Kemi Badenoch's given at Prime Minister's questions.
Topics, for sure. I didn't actually watch the last 2 because I was in Mexico. And it would have been 5 o'clock in the morning for me. And that's the only reason, of course, I'd watched otherwise. I think topic-wise, yeah, but I actually thought her performance there was quite all over the place. She kind of went round the houses and then randomly linking the Chinese spy stuff as if, like, I think they are obviously 2 tremendous issues. They're quite different. And I don't, what one is handling them together, I thought was kind of just, I thought it was just distasteful. I don't think she comes across particularly well in any of this. No. And I'm actually not convinced like anyone's going to watch this and be like, oh yeah, I think Kemi Badenoch rules. I love the Conservatives again.
Thanks to Tide and their instant savings account for sponsoring this week's podcast.
New members receive an annual equivalent rate of up to 4% AER variable.
Our audience will receive £100 cash back when you deposit £5,000 within the first 30 days of opening your Tide Instant Saver account.
Use code JOE. For the full offer, visit tide.co/Joe. T's and C's apply.